we're going to tell you all of the best and worst things about our West Coast road trip. Declan, what's the first category?
Best meal. And my best meal was on day 19 when we went to Ricky's for dinner, and I had an amazing waffle. We even had to go back the second day for breakfast, and I got another waffle. It was that good.
My best meal was on day 20 when we went back to Ricky's in the morning and I got sunny side up eggs.
My best meal was on day 29 in Edmonton when we went to Pizza on White, and the pizza was fresh made and it was just the best pizza I've ever had.
Now for the worst meal.
The worst meal for me was on day 5 when we went to Wienerpeg in Winnipeg. The hot dogs, I hate them. They were boiled. I don't like boiled hot dogs, first of all. And they didn't even feel like they were cooked at all. Like, they felt raw.
My worst meal was on day 10 at Pizza 249 when I got lasagna and the sauce was horrible and there were a bunch of tomato chunks.
My worst meal was day 19 at Bean North in Whitehorse, where we got hot chocolate, and it was literally just warm milk with cocoa powder sprinkled on top for like $7 a cup.
Next up is best city. Declan, what was your favorite city?
My favorite city was Banff because we visited both the beautiful lakes, Moraine Lake and Lake Louise, and we did the water rafting thing. We went up the gondola, and overall the town was really cute. But we didn't get to spend that much time there and explore, so I definitely want to go back there one day.
My best city was definitely Winnipeg because of how much fun stuff there was to do there, like the zoo and the water boat tour, and I'm also just really happy that we got to spend lots of time there with Leanne and the doggy.
For me, the best city was Whitehorse. Because I was really surprised by it. It's not a very big city, only about 20,000 people, but there were lots of different activities to do, and we had a great time there.
Next up is worst city.
My least favorite city was Yorkton because there was nothing to do there. There was one ecological preserve walk or something like that, hike, and we got lost trying to find this boardwalk, so we ended up giving up and walking back. And it was just a total waste of time. And then as a bonus, the beach we went to that night was a dirt beach. It was literally construction dirt. Terrible.
My worst city was definitely Rocky Mountain House because at the Rocky Mountain House National Historical Site, we went to the fort, and the fort was literally an empty field because the actual fort had burnt down 200 years ago.
For me, the worst city was Yellowknife. Because it seems to have fallen on hard times with COVID, I think. Lots of things were closed, restaurants were closed, stores were closed. There really wasn't much to do there. And we also saw a fight on the street between two women as we walked out of our hotel. So it was just not the most fun city to visit.
Next up is best province.
For me, it was Alberta. There was so many fun things to do there. There was the Calgary Stampede, we went to Banff, there was Edmonton, and so much more. The only sad thing is we missed out on Jasper.
My best province was also Alberta because of the Edmonton Mall. I loved going to Galaxyland and going to the Lego store to make my minifigure. Plus, it was super fun to ride around on the little animals.
Obviously, Alberta. We all agree on this one because there were so many fun things to do, and some of the most fun and memorable activities were the unexpected ones, like the Atlas coal mines. It was a big disappointment that we didn't get to go to Jasper due to the wildfires, and we missed the Columbia ice fields, so it's definitely a place where we would want to go back and spend some more time.
Okay, up next, worst province.
For me, it was Northwest Territories. There was nothing to do, everything was closed, even the Tim Hortons was closed. That's crazy. And the airport was super boring too. No shops or anything.
My worst province was definitely Saskatchewan because there was nothing to do in Saskatchewan, and it was the most boring province to go through since it was just the prairies the whole time.
I also chose Saskatchewan as the worst province. I was the one who had to do all the driving through the boring prairies where there's nothing to see. And even their big city, Regina, only had 2 museums that we wanted to go and visit. So there wasn't really that much to do in the whole province.
Next up is best activity.
My best activity was on day 18 when we did Fly Over Canada in Vancouver. It was really good. You got to see all the scenic views of Canada, and the transitions between them were amazing. But this one was a really hard choice because there was so many amazing activities this year.
My best activity was definitely Old Town Glassworks because it was so interesting to see how we did things, and it's definitely something I'll remember forever. Plus, I love my glass.
My best activity was day 5 in Winnipeg when we went to the Royal Canadian Mint. We had missed it when we were in Ottawa last summer, so I was really excited to go in Winnipeg. And it was just really interesting to see how they make the money and to hear all of the stories that our tour guide told us about how they decide on the coin designs and special innovations that we've made here in Canada.
Next up, we have worst activity.
My worst activity was on day 26 at Rocky Mountain House. It was super boring. There was nothing to look at while we were walking around. The forts burnt down 200 years ago. The gift shop sucked. It was just terrible.
My worst activity was on day 40 at the Scenic Caves because they weren't actually caves. They were open caverns and it just wasn't what I was expecting, so it was a little bit disappointing.
My worst activity was day 37 at the Dark Sky Preserve on Manitoulin Island. The campground was super hard to find. The people who ran it were really annoying, and it just wasn't what we expected. When we got to our campsite, like there was nothing else to do there. There was no electricity, no nothing. And then to top it all off, there weren't even stars that night. So we set an alarm and got up in the middle of the night, and it was cloudy, so we went back to bed.
Our next category is best day.
For me, my best day was on day 28 when we went to the Edmonton Mall because there was so much stuff to do there, and there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to do, like mini golf and all those things. But there was the amusement park. There was so many cool shops. We got to ride the pandas around. And then on day 29, we got to go back to the mall and make our Lego minifigures at the Lego store, which was definitely one of the highlights of our trip. And go to some souvenir shops, and yeah, overall it was just a really good store.
My best day was day 14 in Revelstoke because first we went to Moraine Lake and Lake Louise, which were so beautiful, and then we went to the Golden Sky Bridge, which was also super fun, and finally we went to the place with the Pipe Mountain Coaster, and that was probably one of my favorite things we did the whole trip.
For me, the best day was day 5 in Winnipeg, where we had our personal tour guide, Leanne, who brought us everywhere. We went to the Forks, we went to the zoo, we went to the sculpture garden where the kids made all the same poses of the sculptures. We went to the Mint, we did the water tour on the boat, we went out for dinner. We just had such a great day.
Next up is worst day.
My worst day was on day 8 when we got to the Dinosaur Provincial Park because we were really disappointed that all the activities, like the guided tours and making your own fossil casts, they were all sold out. Like for the whole entire day, and the next day when we were there was nothing available, so it was just pretty disappointed.
My worst day was day 26 because we got evacuated and we missed everything in Jasper, including our backup plan, which I was so excited for. So if you want to know what that is, go watch our video.
My worst day was day 13 in Banff because we did not tell you this during our trip, but on that day we were driving Big Mama and we went down a road where the bridge was too low for us to go under. So I had to back up in order to turn around and get off that road. And I backed up into this electrical box on the side of the road. And so we had to basically scrap the rest of our plans that day while I dealt with insurance and finding someone to temporarily fix the RV. So it was just a really frustrating and upsetting day for me.
Now our last category is best memory of the trip.
My best memory was on day
13.
13 when we were at Lake Louise, and at our campsite there were 2 prairie dogs that lived in like a burrow beside it, and so I named them, and then me and my sister ended up making a whole song about them, and it was just really funny, and we always sing the song. It's an amazing memory.
My best memory was on day 39 when we sat around the campfire and talked about how we loved our trip. It was definitely one of my favorite memories, just because it made me feel so happy.
One of my best memories is day 17 in Vancouver when we went whale watching. I have always wanted to see an orca in real life. They are my favorite whales. And we went on the trip. They said in the morning they didn't see orcas, but on hours in the afternoon we did see orcas. So I was happy to cross that off my bucket list once and for all.
Thanks for watching our best and worst video for our West Coast road trip. Stay tuned for our How Much Did It Cost video.